Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. In this video I want to talk about my experience with this bad boy, the Xone 23 mixer. Now I've had this one for about 4 years now and figured I'd do a little video about it to help anyone who's interested in it or looking for a mixer for a home setup. First thing I want to talk about is the affordability of the unit. When I bought this mixer, it was actually priced at 220 euros. And before making this video, I just wanted to check if it's still at the same price. And to my surprise, it jumped at a whopping 100 euros. So it's now like 320 euros. Like, I won't say that it's too expensive. I think 320 euros is a decent price for this mixer, but it doesn't have that affordability edge that it used to have. Now, I think this is really a sturdy mixer. So if you can find a good one that is used, I think that would be a good option. But otherwise, it's still considered one of the cheaper mixers out there, with like very few exceptions. The second thing that made me consider it was the preamps. For me, I wanted a mixer for a vinyl setup. And there weren't many options that were on the cheap side, that were like low budget friendly. It was pretty much this one, and the other mixer that I was considering at the time was the DJM 400, I think, or 200, I'm not sure. But when I was doing a little bit of a research online, it seemed that people were much more in favor of the Xone in terms of like the quality of the preamps. Now, to be fair, I didn't do an A/B testing of both of these mixers. However, I have personally used Pioneer equipment, and while they're not, I consider them to be like good professional equipment, but in comparison to Allen and Heath, I think I would prefer the Xone, especially after using this and using DJM mixers later. I think this would have better preamp, especially if you're looking into like a vinyl setup. Then the other important aspect of the mixer was the layout and the feel of the unit. While this is not necessarily the most attractive unit on the market, especially given these little weird wing flaps, that I'm not sure if anybody uses them to bolt the mixer in, but I feel it would be much more attractive if they just took them out. I've seen people online do that and like do some metal work and even bolt wooden sides, and the mixer looks way better. But obviously you'd have to pay like a good deal of money to get that done. But in terms of the feel of the unit and how it's laid out, I think the knobs and whatnot are very sturdy for its price point, even the new price point. The faders are a little bit more on the fluid side. I wouldn't say they don't have as much resistance as the Xone 92 or 96, but for my liking, I actually prefer them to be this much fluid. For the cue and whatnot, the buttons feel pretty good, and yeah, everything in it feels pretty sturdy. What else? Also, it has an interesting architecture. So in most mixers, they separate the input, the phono and line inputs using a little switch that would be on top of the channel. But this one has two separate gain knobs for each input. What does this mean? This means that you can have a turntable and a vinyl running on the same channel, and you could switch between them without actually flipping a switch. And you could even have them both running at the same time if that was your thing. Now, this makes it a lot more usable for different situations. One example is you could have a vinyl setup, like a vinyl table running, and then you could have a drum machine on the line input, and you could have those running on the same channel at the same time. Now, I don't think many people are going to be doing that, but it is an option. And I think for me, the idea of like not having to flip a switch to go between line and between phono and line is a big advantage for me. Then there is, of course, the Xone filter. This was another reason that pushed me away from the Pioneer. The filter on the Pioneer units is like distinctly harsh. You could definitely hear it, the whole like swoosh thing. I think there are some people who like that, and I think it does have a place. If people are interested in it, that's fine. For me, I'm more interested in a low profile filter that you could use without it being too apparent in the mix. And this definitely has it. I really enjoy using the filter on this one, and it's a big advantage. I wish it had two filters, like one for each channel. It only has one per, like for the main, but I think that's fine, and I've used it. You can, yeah, just to be clear, you can actually assign which channel you want the filter to be used for, and you can use it. You can use it on both channels at the same time, but it's not like the Pioneer or the other Xone filters where you can have like a filter for multiple you have like two filters. But yeah, that's fine. And then there's of course the amount of outputs that this one has. A lot of the cheaper mixers don't have, like would have very few outputs, like the main out and the booth out. But this one has main, booth, record, which I think makes it very usable in a lot of different situations. Also, the main and booth have separate volume knobs, which makes it also super handy. It has a mic input, but I haven't used that, but you know, it's there. The only thing I wish the mixer had was LED strips for the channels. It only has LED for the master, and you can use it for the channel when you are queuing, but it makes it a little bit hard to figure out how loud the channel is by just looking. But I didn't feel that was too much of a problem. I never really, after a year, I wouldn't say after a year, but after using it a few times, you get comfortable enough with it that it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say regarding this mixer. If you have any questions, just write them in the comments and I will get to them. Otherwise, thank you for sticking around and watching the video. If it was something useful for you, like and subscribe. I'm going to do a few more of these with the other stuff that I have, but otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.